Sports, 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 sports.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you.
When I had to get this ball rolling.
Yeah, there we go. You could have just told me instead of making me feel like an asshole jerk. Today I'm changing up the format and we're gonna do kind of just a sports roundtable. I guess that's the best way to put it. And I brought 3 friends with me. Believe it or not, I do have friends out there. So I'm bringing back Nick, who did a couple Chicago Bears episodes.
Hello.
We did not do a very good job of predicting stuff, did we?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Did we?
Or
didn't we?
We had potential with
Context matters.
Yes, context does matter. It turns out when you have a toddler running your team, then, maybe that just doesn't pan out very well. I brought back my friend Brownie as well. Brownie has been on when we talked about Cleveland sports and Ohio State. So, Brownie, welcome back.
Good to be back.
And I've got a noob with me, rookie. I got our buddy Andrew. Or should I call you Andy or Andrew for this?
You can call me whatever you want, Mike.
All right.
Michael, whatever.
Oh, call me whatever you like, Mike. Let's
call me late for dinner.
Welcome, asswipe.
Listen, Squeak. Don't need any of this from you. But I got our friend Andrew Mott, who we like to talk about sports. So I figured this would be a good time that we can just kind of freeball it a little bit and talk a little bit about various sports topics. Of course, there's a dress code here, so if you're not freeballing, then you're doing something wrong. Plus, also
the chair.
Plus, also great visual for an audio only podcast as well. So I figured since we're recording this right after the AFC Championship game, I figured it would be a good place to start. Eagles Chiefs. Is anybody excited about this, or anybody who's like, any opinions about this game?
I hope they both lose.
If only that was possible.
Meteor, comet.
The game gets canceled. Yeah. Terrorist attack in New Orleans. Oh wait, that already happened.
Comet hits.
Maybe the first year I'm more excited about the commercials than the actual game.
When is the last time that the commercials were actually really good, though?
It's been a long time.
Well, maybe
I can't recall any one of it. Like I can't even think of one that stood out last year.
The old Budweiser frog commercials.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or what's up?
That's we're going that far back. I think the last time that I can remember a Super Bowl commercial that I actually kind of enjoyed was with Peter Dinklage lip syncing to Busta Rhymes. That's the only one that I remember. It was for a fucking Doritos Blaze. And then
I don't remember that.
Shortly after that, Morgan Freeman lip syncing to Missy Elliott for Mountain Dew flavor is probably super gross and already discontinued. So that's the only thing that I remember from Super Bowl halftime or Super Bowl highlight.
Would have been better if Morgan Freeman was just singing in his own voice.
Yes, that would have been delightful. And actually, dare I say, same thing with Peter Dinklage. But this game, like, is it just inevitable at this point? I was talking a little bit about this with Brownie before you two jumped on, but is it inevitable that the Chiefs are just going to win?
Probably. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say, I hate to say it, but with Philly there, I am rooting for the three-peat, I guess.
Wait, so you're actually going the opposite direction of this. So go ahead. You're rooting
I don't know.
You're rooting
Philly bothers me.
Philly looked really good today, though.
They did.
I don't. That offense with Saquon. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I don't know.
I almost feel bad
they might have a chance.
I almost feel bad for my friends who are Giants fans, but then I remember that they're Giants fans, and then I don't. So
they're dead inside already. So
it was all about Daniel Jones this year, Mike.
Yeah,
they couldn't keep Saquon. That's what Giants fans wanted, more Daniel Jones.
That feels like that's going to be a curse on them, like a plague on the house of the Giants, right? It just feels like that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about for years to come.
Couldn't you say that's like if the Bears had just drafted Mahomes, he wouldn't have been Mahomes, and Saquon wasn't Saquon on a team like that?
Sure, it's possible, but hey, it is what it is.
But yeah, he's crazy.
But we got one good year or 1 year out of Mitch Trubisky, and yeah, that turned out great. Where is Mitch Trubisky now? Is he still in the league?
Still a
He's in
backup.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
think so.
I think he is the
was-
backup in Buffalo.
He was the backup in Buffalo. He was there tonight. They'd only put him in
They would have lost. They would have lost by more than 3
by
points.
40.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Dalton Kincaid catches that ball if Mitch Trubisky is the one that throws it?
No.
No,
Not with that attitude. No.
No, I don't know how it went that
ball
far.
would probably hit him in the
Mitch-
foot if
Mitch would have ran
Trubisky
back
threw
into
it.
the other end zone.
Oh, that's just sad. So, Mott, you're actually rooting for a Chiefs
I
three-peat.
think so. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see both the Commanders and the Bills, and then I would have been probably rooting for the Bills finally to break through. Like everybody that doesn't live in Kansas City and Philly probably was based on the stories. I don't know. But I don't know. I appreciate Saquon Barkley, but I don't know. Maybe it was the fan who was ripping on that woman, that video that came out, and it soured me on Philly. Who knows? But
Wait, what video? What are you talking about? Did that happen today, or is this
no, it
just
was last
Philly in
week. It
general?
was last week. I think it was. I mean, who
Oh,
knows the
yeah.
context? Some
That
dude.
Philly
yeah,
fan
then the internet got him fired.
during the Green Bay game.
It was Green Bay. You're right.
Yeah, just a couple
He
weeks ago.
he dropped the C word on a woman and was just giving her
Oh.
shit in the crowd. And of course, they got it on camera. I mean, it's not it.
Well,
Hurts is good, but I don't know. I mean, this is a repeat from 2 years ago, right? No,
yes, and
I mean, yeah,
well,
they
okay,
came back nicely, Philly, because they were looking rough early in the season.
you know who else looked rough most of the season? Kansas fucking City, and yet they're
Yeah, but
they're
that
back
just
to-
shows how good Mahomes is with
Home-
anything.
yeah, and Holmgren. I mean, they have.
Yeah.
They're one of the best coach teams in the
And-
league,
yeah.
and yeah,
yeah.
Holmgren. Absolutely. I'm sorry.
It's okay. They're
twins.
twins.
They look a lot like. Yeah, between Andy Reid and the fact that they have, I would argue, currently the best quarterback in the league by a pretty wide margin.
Whoa.
They find ways to win.
You're really
I
going
think-
on a ledge there.
You could make the
That's a
argument for
tough
Josh
take.
Allen, but I think
Until
I think
someone
most people are gonna
unseats
take-
him. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing about the Chiefs three-peating is we would all be able to say that we saw the only three-peat in NFL history. That to my knowledge has never happened before.
It
Yeah.
has not, because there's always been something that's broken up.
Yeah,
Like,
it's hard enough to
right-
repeat once, let alone 3 times in a row.
Real talk, if Mahomes does get three wins, do you think Brady sells his minority stake in Oakland and is like, fuck this, I can't have this guy upstage me like this?
No, I don't think Brady will ever come back again because he was so bad that last season in Tampa.
Tampa.
I don't think he's gonna tarnish his legacy any further by trying to run it back again.
Right, because nothing says I'm not going to tarnish my legacy than buying a minority stake in the fucking Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it's Las Vegas though, and then Las
And
Vegas
he's already got an L.
it's the city on the up and up now
With all kinds of different sports, because
yeah.
I mean, what the Golden Knights, haven't they won a Stanley Cup
They
already?
did.
And they,
Like
Their
second or
first
third
year, wasn't it?
What was it? Their first year?
Oh,
it was their like first or second year. It was pretty close.
Maybe
They-
it was, yeah.
They went to the final their first year, I think, and lost, I believe, and then
Mhm.
went back and won.
Yeah, and then
To the internet.
and then the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team, they just won a championship too. So yeah, Vegas. Who knew Vegas
Yeah.
next?
They're
sports
getting
title
they're getting a baseball team.
They're getting well. Can you call
A's.
the A's a baseball team, or are they more like a minor, top tier minor league team?
you'll be able to by the time they get to Los Angeles. I
Okay.
imagine they're going to get to Los
Vegas,
Vegas.
yeah.
Sorry, Vegas. They're going to get to Vegas. They're going to get stupid Vegas money, and then they're going to start
Yeah.
spending like the Dodgers are, and you're going to see the Las Vegas A's
Oh,
take
The
off
Knights,
like
the Knights won the 2023 Stanley Cup.
got it.
Okay.
Okay. So, Brownie, you bring a good point, because I was going to bring this up, but I guess we'll bring this up now, is that Vegas is just going to spend money like the Dodgers, or like deferring all their payments. And how come nobody else in baseball is employing this strategy?
Anybody
is-
can.
What's that?
Anybody else can do it too.
So then why isn't anybody else doing it?
I don't know.
Well,
Let me call Tom.
for one, the major markets bring in more money. Los Angeles teams,
Yeah, like
the
Chicago.
Chicago teams, and
Mhm.
the New York teams. They bring in the most money, so they have the extra money to spend, and it's about willingness of the owner to spend the money. Say to hell with the luxury cap numbers when those come up. Once you're over a certain amount, you have to pay a penalty. But most of these guys will literally just, you know, Steve Cohen for the Mets is just he'll write a check like it's nothing he doesn't care how much he
Do
spends to
those
get the Mets better.
do those deferrals when they're paid out apply to the luxury tax? Is Bobby Bonilla's pay impacting the Mets,
That's a
whether or
good
not
question. I
they
don't
hit, or is
100%
it off
know,
the
but
books, like from a salary standpoint, more like an operating expense? I wonder.
I doubt Bobby Bonilla's is, but current contracts.
Like, because eventually the Dodgers are going to owe half of their, get halfway to luxury tax with deferral payments, if that's the
Yeah.
case. But that's when you sell the team for $10 billion and it's the new owner's problem.
I mean,
Mhm.
Not that
Correct.
some of those
If-
want to, but
I think they're in win now mode, and I think their plan is just to figure it out when they get to the
yeah,
I
I think
mean,
that's it.
deferral, and
Problem for another day.
didn't the
they're
Dodgers
just going to keep picking up superstar players at every position.
Yeah.
didn't the Dodgers already get sold like 4 or 5 years ago, or is that way longer than that? Because it doesn't Magic Johnson own a stake in the Dodgers now?
Yeah, Magic Johnson's part of a group that owns the Dodgers, but I don't know how many
2012.
people in total of it are.
Got it.
Looks like it was 2012 to a group called Guggenheim Baseball Management. But selling stakes is starting to it's the new wave, it sounds
Mhm.
like, of driving revenue. I know I think there's a football team that just did that. I don't remember who.
What,
And
selling
they made
steak or
some
just
rules.
just
Yeah,
selling steak or just selling the team outright?
well, I mean, I think I heard some of the chatter for the Bears of a way to drive revenue is, okay, you can buy a 5% stake and then they identify a valuation for the team and go, okay, that's 600 million. So someone buys in at 5% for 600 million, which is an influx of cash. I've been hearing that. I haven't researched it a lot, but it sounds like it may be a new strategy
That
out
sounds
there.
just as shady as deferring payments for players when I don't know, just it sounds weird. Nick, did you call Tommy Ricketts yet to get
Not yet.
any?
I'm
Okay,
texting him right now. Hang on.
got it. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the most exciting, but the NFL owners voted to allow private equity funds to buy stakes in teams. Maybe that's what I was hearing.
Yes, I did. Okay, I did hear
But
about
if you
that. And
listen, go ahead.
go ahead, Nick.
No, if you listen to Tom Ricketts, he only breaks even. That's what he
There were
said.
epic biblical losses, remember?
He
And
Oh,
said
somehow
that
they've
last.
kept going
He said that
since
last
the
weekend at the
pandemic.
convention when he was asked about it. His goal is to break even. You're full of shit, Tom.
solid plan. That sounds like
After
a
he
good idea.
pays him and his family's check as part of the
Mhm.
payroll expense, of course.
Brownie, do the Guardians just want to break even, or what's going on with the Guardians now?
We're handcuffed by the fact that our ownership isn't willing to spend like the big clubs are because we're not a major market.
Oh,
So
that
we have
attitude.
we have one of the 10 lowest payrolls in baseball,
Hmm.
and the basic thing is we trade all of our good players before they hit free agency because we know we're not going to re-sign them. We just got rid of Josh Naylor, who was a real good first baseman for us, 30 home runs last year. Traded him to Arizona for some pitcher no one's ever heard of.
Love that guy. He's great.
Yeah,
Gonna do
and
good
so
things.
so I mean it's frustrating to not keep players, but I mean even the big teams when people hit free agency, everybody goes to free agency because that's how you make your money because there is no salary cap.
Yeah, and
that was a decision made in like 1901 when you were paying players a ham sandwich and $1,000 for the year.
well,
And now, it's one of those. It's like a Pandora's box thing. Once you've opened it, you're never going to close it. The union's never going to come back and say, you know what, we will take a salary cap. It's never ever going to happen. And
I'm
so
so happy.
this is the state of baseball, probably for the foreseeable future.
I'm so happy that the salary cap in baseball is the Second Amendment of all of sports. There's just the intended use is just not how it is today. Like, great.
What it was in 1776. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that. So, because if you look at the composition of the Dodgers right now, like most of their player, like they've got this has got to be like the greatest rotation in baseball ever, right? It certainly looks like that.
They have probably five. They have five pitchers that would probably be an ace on almost every single other staff in the league.
They all might be on the shelf by July also.
Yeah. They're talking to Kershaw again too, I heard.
But they have Kershaw. They have Kershaw pitch out of the bullpen.
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Andrew.
I was just gonna say, I mean, in the course of the season, 7 starters is a good year if you get by with using 7 different starters. So,
but where are you gonna stick him? Are you gonna put him in AAA until you need
not
him?
in the playoffs.
I can't imagine you take your.
I don't know how they do. Yeah, they must stick him in the bullpen.
They should add depth because if you pitch for the Dodgers, your elbow is going to explode at some point. They go through them.
Yeah. That's very true.
Their pitching infrastructure is not as good as people think it is. I mean, they get star players, but they blow out their arms.
Yes,
the list is pretty long.
Or you could be like that one pitcher who blew his load and just now he's not in the league anymore. Can't forget it. What was his name? Trevor what?
Bauer.
Oh, Trevor Bauer.
Oh yeah. Well, and he's trying to make a comeback. That does sound like
he's trying to. I mean, he's healthy and he can pitch, but because of his off-field problems, no one's going to touch him.
I think he was in Japan.
Yeah, he was in Japan. He's pitched in Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything, I could see a team getting desperate enough to sign him versus.
I am honestly kind of surprised nobody has.
Yeah,
he
is an interesting.
It's still early.
Yeah, he's an interesting personality outside of that too. If I remember, a bit of a hothead.
Oh yeah, no,
that time he chucked the ball into the
in the center
bleacher.
field.
Yeah, he would do the long toss. Yeah, out of anger.
Yeah,
he'd be perfect on the Dodgers because he could blow his elbow doing that rather than even pitching.
And then
he's also the idiot that cut his finger open on his pitching hand with a drone during the 2016 playoffs.
I completely forgot.
I have fond memories of him in 2016, considering the Cubs won both the games he started.
I guess speaking of the Cubs, Nick and Andrew is bigger Cubs fans than I am, and Brownie's not a Cubs fan because we all know how he feels about the Cubs. How are you feeling about their off season so far with some of the acquisitions, whether or not they are official or not yet?
You can start, Andrew. Go ahead.
I mean, it's nice to get Kyle Tucker, but it's just going to be a 1 year. They're not going to open a bag starting with a 3. They haven't even opened one ever starting with a 2 or a 4 or whatever it is. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. I know the name, but it's not like I was watching Houston. So I'm going off of either like YouTube's or what everybody says, but it's just not that much still. I mean, it's fringe pitchers. This who's the guy, Nick, that they're trying to get to waive his no trade clause, but then he's requiring,
Presley.
from what I hear, Presley. Yeah,
he did.
Oh, did he accept it? So that was today?
Yes.
Got it. But
where you been, man?
I should have done more prep. Didn't he require that he's the de facto closer to accept the trade, though? That's what the rumor was.
Probably what he wants to do, but I think the Cubs were making that trade with that in mind anyway.
Got it.
I think they wanted
I don't even know who they gave
at
up
least
for him.
Start the season. Their 30th ranked prospect you've never heard of.
Okay, I'll take that.
They also got $5.5 million from Houston.
Oh.
Towards his
So that, of course,
salary.
makes you wonder why they're paying to let him go away.
Well, Houston needs to cut payroll, and they still are hopeful they can sign Alex Bregman back, which is still a possibility. So they were trying to cut payroll. They had to cut payroll regardless, which is why they traded Tucker and now Presley.
Got it. Yeah.
I didn't think the Astros were somebody that needed to cut payroll that much, but okay.
They're trying to break even, Mike. Just gets
all
I'm hopeful.
Well, there is a problem with Sens going around in baseball. The TV contracts are drying up for a lot, I believe including Brownie's Guardians as well. are having issues
Diamond.
with broadcasting. I think Houston may fall into that as well. So that's part of it. At least that's what they're using as an excuse. Anyway.
Which is weird because you'd think that with the amount of money that Netflix paid for WWE or the amount of money that Amazon has paid for like NBA games, you'd think that baseball would be a hotter commodity than that. But
I guess not.
I mean, because the only streaming service right now that even shows baseball games is, I think, Apple. That's it.
I think Apple has it, and Peacock, I think, has one game a week.
Yeah, I think Peacock picked it up as well.
The Peacock broadcast is kind of fun because they take basically the color man from both teams and they put them in the booth together and have them call the game. So that's always kind of interesting to listen to.
The Apple broadcast is nice and crisp too, like the picture quality.
Yeah, that's real nice.
I'm glad to see that Peacock is just manufacturing drama between two rival commentators, even though that's not the case at all. I'm sure that they're professionals. They know how to play nice. Maybe. I don't know. I don't watch much baseball.
It's fun to listen to because you're generally going to be a couple of hometowners. So for one of them having to, swallow their pride and talk about how good the other team is, sometimes it just, you feel a little bit of the tension that's in the room listening to it. It makes for an entertaining product.
Speaking of potentially tension in the room, Brownie, what did the Browns do with Deshaun Watson? Like what is happening there?
Well, I have no idea. The guy retore his ACL. It doesn't seem he has a whole lot of interest in being a part of the team. He tore his ACL, and a lot of players from other teams, if they get injured, you're still going to see him on the sidelines. Deshaun vanished for the tail end of the season after he wasn't there trying to help Jameis Winston or the other quarterbacks that they used. He's not a team guy. It doesn't seem like he really even wants
his massage towel.
Yeah,
They hurt his knee.
Hopefully they can.
Did you mean to say ridiculous?
I did. Yeah. No.
Nice.
No, they got to figure out a way to get rid of him because he is an absolute drain on their salary cap, and they're going to be dumping players and money this offseason to just try to get to a point where they can actually make a signing, because they're going to have to go out and sign a quarterback, especially if they think they're going to compete. They've been linked to Kirk Cousins already. I don't know, maybe Justin Fields. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I don't see the Browns drafting a quarterback with a number 2 pick. I think they're going to trade out of that, and I think they're going to try to, in order to save money, try to fill the team through the draft more than through free agency this year.
Are there any even standout quarterbacks this year for?
You got Cam Ward out of Miami, who a lot of people have ranked as the top quarterback. The other one is Shedeur Sanders, not Barry Sanders, but Deion Sanders' kid, who's a really great athlete. He's one of those ones I don't see him being an NFL caliber quarterback, which means the Browns will probably take him with the number 2 pick.
Good luck with those quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dylan Gabriel, Oregon.
Yeah, my problem with him is he's only 5'11". He's very small.
He's a lefty too.
Yeah. I don't see him being a real success in the NFL either. Plus he's also really, in terms of draft candidate age, he's old, because he somehow played 7 years of college. He had exceptions because he was injured for an entire season. So he's coming out at 25 already, which a lot of teams are not going to spend that kind of time or money on quarterbacks who are already that long in the tooth.
But isn't that starting to become more common in college football, where, hey, you could redshirt, or depending on what you do in the transfer portal, you could be here for ostensibly, I don't know, 11 years, and you'll still find a way into the NFL, or dare I say maybe one day the XFL.
Well, it's still, Brownie, isn't it? A lot of pandemic era exceptions that we're still on the tail end of.
There's still a couple of those with people hanging on, that are
kind of artificially lengthened.
Fifth-year players, yeah.
Plus an injury or a red shirt, you get to 6 or 7 years, like you were saying.
Yeah, but the really good players are putting in their customary 3 years, because that's, to be drafted, you have to be out of high school for 3 years. So a lot of them will get to a junior year and they're gonna peace out. Like being an Ohio State fan, a lot of the players from this year's national championship team are already declaring for the draft. They're going to strike while the iron's hot, and you don't blame them for that.
Yep.
I suppose now's the time to say congrats to Ohio State for winning national championship game.
Thank you. It was
valiant effort, Brownie. Never in doubt.
You really pulled it through there, man.
Pulled it, yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, the 16-team college playoff, I absolutely loved it because you got like top tier bowl games for like a month straight. Most of those games were really good. Some of them were blowouts, like
like most of Ohio State's games were blowouts.
And the best thing that happened to Ohio State was losing to Michigan. In all honesty, that was a wake up call, and they came out swinging and just they beat like I think Ohio State ended up being like 8 top 10 teams this year on their way to the national championship. Like,
yeah,
kind of crazy.
I do feel like schools that aren't named Alabama, you lose once and you're screwed for your year. It does give you a little more flexibility. So that's cool. I mean, if you want the best teams, having a wider one, the real question is just how many more games do you want them playing? I mean, it's not like it's NFL level or anything, but it seemed to work.
Yeah, it worked, and I'm sure all those schools and all the bowls and the sponsors made and the networks made all their money. So
yeah, it'll be better education for all the students at these universities, with the influx of cash and lower tuition and stuff like that. So that's awesome too, right?
Of course, yeah, all that stuff.
But nobody gives a shit about the education system in college right now with naming NIL. It's just a matter of just making a shitload of money just by any means that they can. And who cares if you can't afford to go to college anymore? You'll make it on NIL deals.
Yeah, I meant more all the other people that go to college that aren't professional athletes at this point.
All the kids in the band get to go to the bowl games.
That's true.
Oh, thank God. There is that, and then all the equipment managers and all of the athletic trainers and
cheerleaders.
There is that as well. I'm sure a color guard is probably in there too. Can't forget about that. Who I'm sure they're all benefiting from NIL deals as well, right?
Yeah, name and licensing right for the third tuba player from the right.
I mean, obviously, he was the best one in the row, right?
Yeah.
So
his NIL's a little different. He gets $25 for stepping on the field,
and it's a stipend. He has to turn in his receipts to get that.
He can't transfer anywhere. He can't transfer anywhere because that's not allowed. It's not regulated or anything like that yet. Well, the primary purpose of me bringing because Nick and I originally we wanted to talk about the Bears, and we wanted to
hear my Cubs thoughts.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can. Do you have any Cubs thoughts that you?
I want to hear them, Nick.
And Andrew kind of covered.
I need to learn.
Go ahead, Nick.
Learn anything from me?
He's got the hot insight from Tommy Ricketts. So let's hear it.
No, that Kyle Tucker move was great. That's a move they finally showed the balls to do it, because there's been opportunities where they could have either signed star players or traded for them, and they haven't shown the willingness to do that. Andrew's probably right. It is most likely 1 year, because if you have any faith they're going to offer him what he wants, then I got some beachfront property to show you.
When I see it.
True. Only, I guess I wouldn't call it hope. The only why I think it's not 0%, and we'll be optimistic, let's put it at 10, is that they did at least, they were part of the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes last year for a minute, until it was obvious he was not interested, and he was going to get more money than they were probably going to offer him. And let's be honest, he was always going to the Dodgers. I don't care what anyone says. It was always the Dodgers. But, I mean, if you read or hear or talk to any of them, I don't talk to any of them, but I read and hear people in the know that have been accurate in the past that they did go after him in a way, and they were prepared to offer him at least half a bill. I mean, they knew it was going to take at least $500 million. So they did show willingness to do that. So maybe they'll finally do this with their star player in Kyle Tucker, who is a star player.
Yeah.
He is a top 10. Like if you're going just positional players, like he's definitely part of that group in terms of a hitter. He's a very good defensive player. He's a good base runner. He's a very good all around player.
I'd say he's a top 10 outfielder of
Yeah.
all outfield positions. Yeah, I'd put him in probably the top 10, 15 at the most.
Yeah, if you're going by just position players, yeah, he's definitely up there. So we'll see. He's only 28. We just mentioned they're waiting on medicals, but as soon as that goes through, they traded for Ryan Presley from the Astros as well. It's Cubs and Astros offseason apparently.
Mhm.
He's old. He's 36. He fell off a little bit last year.
Simmons is old.
But he was their closer for many years and was very good. But then they signed Josh Hader last year, and they kind of demoted him to setup role, which I don't think he liked very much. So we'll see how that works out. Again, they gave up their number 30th ranked prospect. The Astros are also kicking in $5.5 million. He's owed 14, so they basically got him for $8.5 million for this year. Yeah, he was mulling it over. He did have a no trade clause if he wanted to uproot his family for a year, but he decided to go with it. So that was a good addition to the bullpen. They need at least another back end bullpen arm. There's still some intriguing options out there. But like Andrew said, or his tone, I wish they would do more. It's funny, they've had dialogue with Alex Bregman this whole time, which would be hilarious if they traded for Tucker, Presley, so Houston could cut payroll, and then Bregman ends up signing with them. Anyway, sounds like they want him on like a pillow contract, like a 1 to 3 year thing they did with Cody Bellinger, like we were joking about earlier. If Tom Ricketts would act like a big market, that he would just sign Alex Bregman too, and they would have a really, really good team and be the clear favorites for that division.
Yeah.
But,
do you think they dump Nico then and put Shaw, right? At second, who's kind of like right now he job to lose at third?
Maybe because they're working on this imaginary budget he puts in for some reason. Ideally, they would just sign Bregman and have Nico, and then
figure it out, because you always need
depth, and you need Council will find spots for him, and he'll get at bats somehow. So
yeah,
but
well, they somehow, like, in their losing effort, went over the luxury tax last year by just like a couple million, if I remember. Yeah.
That's also the other thing. Also, Jed Hoyer doesn't have a contract after this year, so why
he's
he's
going
not being
for
more aggressive? Why? Yeah, but I know they were the runner-up to Tanner Scott, who signed with the Dodgers, like everybody else.
Shocking.
They were right there. He was interested, but I think
I like Nick.
This
10% is optimism.
About as optimistic as I get.
No, I know.
Like apparently the Cubs only added the 4th year for Tanner Scott at like the 11th hour when he was like, I'm going to the Dodgers. So had they been aggressive and offered him 4 years from the start, he might be here. So that's also another, I guess, positive take you can make from it. They don't, at least Jed Hoyer hasn't shown that he likes to pay relief pitchers, and he was willing to go out of his comfort zone to get Tanner Scott. So I guess that's a positive thing.
That is
more aggressive, but
that's what got him last year. It took too long for the bullpen to coalesce.
But yeah, that's the other thing too, is that they should, like, I'm not asking for them to be the Dodgers or Steve Cohen or anything like that, but they should be spending like the Phillies and even the Padres to an extent, at least the last few years. Like, it's ridiculous. They have an opportunity to bully their division year after year in terms of spending, where they could just take over, and they just refuse to do it. So it's frustrating.
The other thing with Kyle Tucker, though, Nick, I do feel, again, just through reading and what you hear out there, it seems like they sell pretty well on supporting the player and their family. Have a pretty good, I hate to say it with the Bears, but the culture, family oriented and stuff. So I don't know what
players
his situation
like playing
is.
Here. Yeah, I believe he's married. I think I don't think he has kids though.
Pretty young,
but they do treat players well. Players like playing here. Hell, Yu Darvish told Seiya Suzuki to sign here after the Cubs traded him to the Padres. That's how much Yu Darvish liked playing here. So yeah, they do. But again, it's all about dollar bills, y'all.
Yep.
If they were acting like a big market, they would go to him right now, or to his agent right now, and be like, okay, what's this gonna take, or what are you looking for to stay here? It does sound like they're going to at least try. How hard they try, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like Jed Hoyer said so. Like, that's definitely something they're going to talk about during the season, but we'll see.
Says the guy who doesn't like to negotiate during the season.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, at least the Cubs aren't the White Sox right now, right? Speaking of big markets.
Pretty much any team, really.
You think like worst situation in all of baseball right now, the White Sox?
He's got
The A's are actually spending money.
I would say that the Sox are still the worst team in baseball. The only saving grace that they have is they have some like 6 or 7 of the top 100 prospects in baseball right now. I mean, but
Yeah.
they're probably still at least a good 4 years from being even vaguely competitive. Like Luis Robert is the only thing that looks anything like an all-star on their team, and
The
he
French
is
version.
and he is
Luis Robert.
and he's so up and down and kind of all over the place. Like they have gotten zero consistency out of him since he had his one real good breakout year, but the rest of that team is just awful. It's one of the poorly run franchises. It's just real bad. They got a lot to improve on.
I guess that's also the perfect segue. Speaking of poorly run franchises, let's talk about the Bears then. So, Brownie, you can feel free to chime in here about all of this. Go ahead, Nick.
I can't believe how positive I'm going to be about talking about them in a few minutes. It's weird.
So, Nick, since you and I talked about this, like, where would you like to start? Would you like to start? Because we delayed our original recording until the Bears found a new head coach, and now they have one. So do you want to talk about, do you want to do a season recap first, and just get all the shit out of the way now? Or do you want to talk about the new head coach?
Recap's fine. That doesn't have to take too much
relive
time.
some trauma here.
Yeah, we were both off. I had them at 10-7. You had them at 9-8. Like I said, I did have them at 4-2 at the bye week, and they were.
There is
so
that.
I was right for a little bit, although I was wrong on the games. But I had them at 4-2. I had them losing to LA. They beat LA. I had them beating Indianapolis. They lost to Indianapolis. So, but I had them at 4-2.
That was another fumbled bag that no one remembers because it was part of their decent start.
Yeah. their hot streak at the beginning of the season.
If you will.
Hey, I mean, I'm pretty sure I talked about this on our previous podcast. Maybe when we were doing this one, was after all the positive vibes and the off season they had and everything. I think I literally said, like, the only thing was that they kept Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, that is,
and that ended up being their Achilles heel in a bad way.
It was, because easily 3 or 4 of those games could have swung the other way. Had
competent coach, they probably win at least 8 games. So I don't think we were that far off.
We were not. I will give you that. Caleb Williams, he looked pretty good this season.
I think given the circumstances, he had a pretty good year.
Well, and also it's not exactly fair to compare, because that's the thing that I hear a lot is that, oh, Caleb Williams had a good year, but it wasn't Jaden Daniels' year. I'm like,
Jaden Daniels would be in traction if he played for the Bears this year. He'd be in the.
Well, you got to remember that last year with C.J. Stroud, it was like, hey, everybody, don't get used to this. This is a once in a lifetime rookie, and then Jaden Daniels had him hold his beer.
Jaden Daniels, I still have longevity questions about him because he's 175 pounds soaking wet, and the way he plays.
RG3.
That's the big
comparison.
Yeah. Same franchise, same situation, and a number 2 pick. So we'll see. I'll still, call me biased, whatever. I'll still take Caleb in the long run. But
I'll say this about Caleb Williams: a lot of people don't remember, but Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie season.
Yeah,
and that guy was a no doubt Hall of Famer. So I'm not saying that's Caleb Williams' track, but there've been plenty of Hall of Fame quarterbacks that.
Troy Aikman was awful.
Did not have amazing first years.
Manning was awful.
I mean, I think for Caleb Williams,
Josh Allen was awful.
Oh yes, Josh Allen was.
If
that entire
the Bears
class
fix the offensive line, that kid's got a much better shot at.
Yeah,
I think with more time he's gonna make better decisions.
Well, he's already made some pretty good decisions. He didn't turn the ball over that much this year.
No, he didn't. But some of that though was like I think the Bears and their coaching genius like put into his mind so much not to turn the ball over that he wasn't taking nearly as many chances as they want him to downfield.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of dink and dunk and sideways shit, which is like, what are you doing with this guy and his arm talent?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure that's going to change going forward. I mean, Ben Johnson even said it.
So Nick, you're saying that his lack of at least interceptions because
he was being too careful.
The coaching staff being instilling the fear of God in him, and then you also heard it on this podcast first. Brownie thinks that Caleb Williams is going to be a Hall of Famer. So cool, great. Appreciate the.
I hope so.
The confidence.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see one in my lifetime. A Hall of Fame quarterback play for the Bears.
Well, and from an outsider's perspective, I like the Ben Johnson pickup as head coach. I think Ben Johnson is the most creative offensive mind in football right now. That's why he was such a hot commodity that everybody wanted him. And I think he made the right choice coming to Chicago because he's got Caleb Williams and he's got a slew of offensive skill talent to work with. And I mean, he took probably a less talented group in Detroit and made their offense just hum. And
until Jared Goff turned back into a pumpkin.
And they still put up 500 yards and 31 points.
Yeah.
The annoying part is they could have probably had Ben Johnson last year and not wasted Caleb in his rookie year.
They probably could have, but it wouldn't have been a proper Bears season if the rookie quarterback, which
was a lame duck coach. Yeah.
Third time that they've done this in just in recent memory that three rookie quarterbacks,
all first round picks, fired the head coach after their rookie year. Just to start over.
That's the recipe there, unfortunately.
No, it was exciting when the news hit that they were hiring Ben Johnson. I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. Because
so quick.
I told you, I was like, get ready to learn Mike McCarthy. And
and then I look at some of the people also that they're like bringing in for an interview as well as like Eddie George. Like, why on earth are you bringing Eddie George in?
Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
Rooney Rule.
Rooney Rule. Because you have to do it in person. Ron and him.
So if for anyone that doesn't know, the Rooney family that owns the Steelers, they have a rule named after him. It's designed to help minority candidates. I think it does mostly harm than good most of the time, unfortunately.
Well, it's
teams just
proven.
Manipulate it.
It's proven out because Brian Flores, isn't he suing the NFL for violations in regards to the Rooney Rule?
Part of it.
It's a small part of it, but yeah.
So they made changes and updates to it. So for a head coach, like Andrew said, you have to interview 2 external candidates in person to satisfy the Rooney Rule before you can hire a head coach. So they interviewed Brian Flores, but that was not in person. They interviewed their intern head coach, Thomas Brown. That does not count because he's not external. So they interviewed Ron Rivera, whatever. He's Hispanic, so he fulfilled that. I thought it was hilarious. As soon as Detroit lost, the news broke that the Bears were interviewing Eddie George the next morning, and we're like, "Oh my God, could you be more obvious that that's what they're doing?"
And George is on the board too of the diversity council for the NFL. They could probably sleep well because he's only a few years in. Where is he? Middle Tennessee, or he coaches somewhere collegiately, and the argument is that it's priming the pump for him in the future of getting some exposure to the NFL for Eddie George, potentially. Like, it's almost like, he's not a serious candidate, but it's not like we're just using him.
Yeah. Like I said, it was refreshing because Ben Johnson, apparently, he was their number 1 target all along.
And he according to, he's doing really good press and saying, I wanted to be here as well.
His agent said it too.
Yeah.
I listened to another podcast who interviewed Rick Smith, his agent. He said Vegas was never happening, despite that was totally media blown.
Of course.
I didn't buy it too much either. Tom Brady owns like 7% of the team. Like, what's he gonna do? Outside of Max,
he's a figurehead. He's the face of it.
Yeah. Outside of Max Crosby and Brock Bowers, that roster sucks, and they have no real path to a quarterback. So I don't I don't know why he would have hitched his
how dare
wagon to
you
go there.
disparage the great name of Aiden O'Donnell or whatever the fuck his name is.
Well, that's a tough division too. On top of it,
Exactly.
it's not like the South.
Reed, Harbaugh, and Peyton. He's got a coach against.
Well, and then also between all those coaches, but then Mahomes is still going to Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert is he's still hanging in there pretty good, and Bo Nix looked pretty good this year. But who knows if this year or if next year he's gonna go through a sophomore slump like so many people do.
I like Bo Nix coming out. The only thing Bo Nix did in college was win. Everywhere he went, Auburn, Oregon, the guy won. The kid just knows how to win. So he was a guy. He was a guy I would have minded the Browns or somebody else picking up. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Bo Nix found a way to be an efficient NFL quarterback.
But it was mostly Bears or bust for him. It sounded like, and he stays in the division he's familiar with, where he's kind of dominated against with his offense. He's not bringing the Detroit offensive line with him. I know people keep saying that. No shit. But he's still bringing his play calling ability and his scheming and everything like that. If you look at any kind of graph they put up about offense, he's always in the top over the last 3 years. I saw a graph where it's one of those quad graphs with each quadrant, and it was like easy plays. So like it was about calling plays to get you easy yards and then winning those plays. Mm-hmm. So you wanted to be in like the top right? So you get a lot of easy yard plays. So you're scheming guys open or something like that. He was all alone in the top right by himself. So not only is he calling and scheming guys wide open, the easy layups that just to get chunks of yards, he was in an island of his own. So yeah, should be fun.
It should be fun. Yes,
Ryan Poles has a lot of work to do still.
Yeah. Yes, I was about to say that.
Well, they got 3 picks in like the top 40 or 41. I think after they make some cuts, they'll have around like $90 million in cap space. So they'll have plenty of firepower to work with. I don't know if we were recording when we were talking about it earlier, but they need a complete overhaul of their interior offensive line. They need a new center. They need new guards. There's some big time guards that might be on the free agent block. Trey Smith from KC, who's I think 25. He's a very good player. I don't think they're going to be afford to keep him, and I think I read that they aren't going to use the franchise tag on him, so he might hit free agency. Forgot the other one's name. Another young guard from Philly is going to be a free agent, so we'll see.
Yeah, and that'll all be good stuff. Plus,
they need a pass rusher. They need defense. Yeah, they need trenches basically. Both sides of the ball.
Ben Johnson to the Bears that does a couple things. One that does weaken Detroit, which Detroit has had an amazing last couple of years, and I almost feel bad taking him away from Detroit because they've been such a dumpster fire for so long. But it's been a good story.
It'll be fun to see how Campbell can bounce back. Like put this money where his mouth is.
Kneecaps.
Yeah. If he does it again,
if he figures it out again and
picks good talent to coach, yeah.
He
lost his defensive coordinator too because the Jets, right?
He's going to the Jets.
Yeah, I mean,
so talk about dumpster fires.
And then the receivers coach Antoine Randall coming to the Bears,
and
the
offensive line coach came to the Bears, came to the coordinator, right?
What's that?
Didn't the offensive coordinator come from Detroit with?
Oh,
I don't think so.
Harley, or whatever his name is. Harley. No, he stayed in Detroit. No, they just hired. God, I forgot it. They just hired their OC from Denver.
Yeah, Denver offensive coordinator, and then they hired.
No, he was the tight end coach.
Declan Doyle,
thank you, and Dennis Allen as their DC, which is a nice.
Is that a done deal too?
That's a done deal
today.
Yes.
Okay.
Ian Rappaport broke it like halftime of the AFC game. It's quite funny.
Which
news dump.
Which is nice because also Dennis Allen he wasn't that successful in New Orleans, but he at least provides a little bit of head coaching help that he could give Ben Johnson.
I like his defenses.
Oh yeah, his defenses are solid. Yeah. Even if he wasn't that great of a head coach, but it's still it's still a good pickup nonetheless. Plus, not only that, Ben Johnson, unless he gets like a fantastic offer, he's not going to be this sought after person, and the risk of him like leaving immediately isn't that great. Like what Detroit
As
has
long as
been.
he's winning, he could be here for 20
Well, no,
years.
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying is that at
Well,
least
he's
when
under contract for at least 5.
because because
I think it might have been a 6-year deal.
that's something that Detroit has been having to deal with. Like any team with a hot offensive or defensive coordinator has to deal with is that how do we keep their offensive or defensive coordinator in the face of all of these potential head coaching openings?
Yeah.
So
that's the beauty of having an offensive minded head coach is you keep your scheme generally. And it's like
he
having
calls the
like a
plays
tree.
anyway.
Yeah, we could be talking
Ben
about
Johnson
the
calls
Johnson
the plays
tree.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a play caller, and like a McVay, for example.
Andy Reid, McVay,
Yep.
Shanahan. Also, I think I just saw
right.
after the game ended, the last 6 Super Bowl matchups, all 12 coaches have been offensive coaches, so tells you where the league has gone. Yeah, I was fully expecting the Bears to screw it up still, but
I mean, they still can, but
yeah, that's for sure.
I
but
meant
right
I
now,
meant screw up hiring Ben
this
Johnson.
hire,
But
yes, that is fair. I will give you that.
No, they stepped up, acted like that's just how NFL business is done. They are paying who's off this year and next year, I think. They said okay, and then they're giving Ben Johnson like at least 12 million a year or something like that.
I think it was 4.5, 9 over the 2 that they owe him.
Yeah. So it's nice to finally see them do this.
Look, after that Thanksgiving game, if they wouldn't have fired Eberflus and they would have been like, you know what, we're going to keep the tradition where we're not going to fire a coach mid-season. Like that one was like the most egregious. Like, look, you lose on a
can't believe what I saw.
You lose on a Hail Mary, you lose on a field goal. Whatever. Like that one was.
I seriously
thought the graphic on the TV was wrong, and they didn't have any timeouts left, and it was a mistake because I'm looking at it and I'm yelling at the TV and it's like, "You have a timeout! You have a timeout! What are you doing? What are you doing?" As the clock wound down, I'm like, "What is going on? Call timeout, idiot!"
Yeah, and you can't put too much of that on Caleb Williams. Sure, could Caleb Williams have like taken it into his own hands and called a timeout? Sure, absolutely. But that's where the head coach has to be like,
I'm
dude,
not putting that on a rookie quarterback.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying is that because I did hear some of that discourse where people were like, Caleb Williams could have called the timeout, and like, no, like that is completely a head coach fumble right there. And also, it's not like that's a new fumble either. Matt Eberflus's time management has been suspect for pretty much since he got there.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, I am like you both, and I guess Brownie, because Brownie does you do agree that this was a good pickup for them. So I do share the optimism. I just need polls to play ball as well, and do the right thing. And there's a lot of good offensive talent, but that offensive line has been not good as usual. And then defense looked pretty.
It fell off once they fired Eberflus, but I mean, nothing that can't be fixed.
Yeah, their defense is only a couple
some
pieces
nice
away from being.
Yeah,
it's real solid. It just needs a couple.
Yeah, they need pass rush.
Yeah,
I think the anticipatory throws that Johnson will get out of Caleb, throwing guys open. What is an open guy? How do you define someone being open? Could make a lot of difference here. And the sacks and the O-line issues that you generally attribute to the line that maybe he contributed some to. I mean, he did, yeah. But gosh, just watching some of these playoff teams, it's like you're drooling.
We're finally going to see a Bears offense where it's not when I'm watching a game the opponent and the guy's wide open play after play after play. There's a guy. How is he that wide open? Hopefully, we're going to see the Bears finally have
some of those. Yeah.
Hopefully, I do agree with that. And
there was like within a couple minutes of the Commanders Eagles game, Commanders threw a touchdown. Jaden Daniels just over the middle, beautiful with a 5 or 10 yard run. Next possession, that 4th and 5 that Hurts threw that was like a 30-yard throw. Like I'm just like, so this is how like good football looks.
Yeah,
They actually, the passes are where they're supposed to be, and
Yeah.
they have some guts, and I'm looking forward to that next year and beyond.
Well, and then also because they weakened Detroit a little bit, or a lot, by having both coordinators leave, and hope maybe Dan Campbell will rebound with that, or from that. Maybe it takes him a year to get that figured out. I'll be very curious to see if the Vikings can repeat their same success next year, which I highly doubt, because Sam Darnold is
JJ time.
I mean,
they've talked about trading JJ already, and he stepped foot on the field yet.
Trade him for what?
but
sign Darnold.
Yeah.
Well, they have Daniel
crazy.
Jones too. Don't
Good
forget.
luck.
I can't forget.
It's the year of Daniel Jones.
Everything was going fine for the
Who needs
Vikings
Saquon?
until Daniel Jones got in the building. But I mean, Brownie, you saw JJ a bunch of times with him playing Ohio State. Is he going to be a viable option, or do you think it is smart for the Vikings to potentially get rid of him? But to, like Nick said, for who?
I was never really impressed with him as a college quarterback. He went to Michigan where they literally ran the ball 80% of the time. So he was throwing off a play action when everybody thought the ball was being run. So it wasn't. I don't think he's all that accomplished as a passer per se. Not to say that he can't be a good NFL quarterback. I just never saw it in college. I just thought he made passes that were pretty easy when everyone's expecting you guys to be running the ball. If you do play action well, people are going to be open, and I think that's was his benefit. So if he's not in a system where they can create that same thing for him, I don't foresee him being a very good. Plus, I don't think he's very big. I think he's a real small guy, and that doesn't really bode well in the NFL if you really can't see over your offensive line.
Nick, you mentioned who you trading him for. I've got the answer to that. You trade him for Aaron Rodgers, because then that's two full circle Green Bay to the Jets,
to the Jets, yes, to the Vikings,
to the Vikings.
And just like his predecessor.
We call that symmetry or parallels, but no, that would be hilarious, even if that would just be dumb.
Did Aaron Rodgers steal from welfare people too? Like,
I mean,
or send his wanky photos
he's got time.
Female reporters. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, give it time. He was going to be the vice president of the United States at one point. Don't you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers has dated way hotter women than Brett Favre ever did. In his defense,
I mean, other than Shailene Woodley, who else was there? Oh, Danica
Patrick.
Can't forget about
Sophia Munn or whatever.
Olivia.
Olivia Munn. That's it.
Yeah. He did very well for himself.
Good for him. Yeah. But he's got to be getting towards the end, right? Like, that's.
You would think. I think I wouldn't be shocked if he announced before the next season he's hanging him up, but
he's got to go on his retreat first.
Yeah.
His darkness retreat.
His darkness retreat.
Yeah. Can't forget about that.
Weirdo.
And then what's going to happen is that he's going to retire. He's going to unretire, and then he's just going to sign with the Vikings in free agency. There. It'll just be just like that.
Yeah.
He's not under contract, right?
Probably.
I think he's a free agent this year.
Yeah.
I think he is.
And the way he's been talking about it, he knows that, hey, if I'm playing somewhere, it's probably going to no credible team is going to want to sign him, especially with the season that he had last year. And also a 40-plus-year-old quarterback that has had he had a torn Achilles last year. Yeah, that's a way too risky.
And it looks like it's a Jets option this year.
Oh.
So there is a contract as of right now, but who knows?
I don't know. The Jets are kind of weird. So
how much does it say? What's the cap hit?
It's a $35 million option, no guarantee.
Okay.
It doesn't say right here what the cap hit is. I get it here over the cap.
Brownie, do you think your Browns would want Aaron Rodgers?
We don't have the cap space to sign him. We can't afford him. We're in the hole right now on the cap space. So we have to dump contracts to get to a point where we can even sign anybody.
Well, not only you're gonna have
23.5 on the cap, by the way.
Yeah, we can't take out.
That's manageable.
We can't take out 23.5 with this 60 or 70 or whatever we got in Sean Watson.
Yeah.
All right. That was one of the worst trades ever.
Worst.
Yeah.
And the contract.
The day it was made.
Yeah. I remember when because not only did the Browns trade for Deshaun Watson, who was just radioactive at that point, but they also like signed him to this god awful deal as well. That just made it even worse.
Almost 73 million cap number for 25. And then it starts, it's that for the next 25 and 26 before it goes down to 17 and 27, almost 18. Vomit.
Yeah, they can't cut him till then.
Yeah,
unless he
his contract.
Which is why, Brownie, I thought you had a good plan there. It's like, hey, Deshaun, we wanted to give you 19 these gift certificates to massage parlors, and do with them what you will, but enjoy.
Yeah, and the worst thing of it all, the guy I think is just an absolute cancer in the locker room. I don't think any of the players want to play with him, and he hasn't shown any sign that he wants to play with any of them. So, I hope the hell they can figure out a way to get rid of him. But unfortunately, they're kind of stuck with him. But this is a franchise that was desperate for a quarterback for forever. Our last solid quarterback was in the 1980s, Bernie Kosar. So I think they were just so hard up for a quarterback. This guy who had really good success in Houston came available.
Rid of Baker Mayfield.
They took a big shot. Yeah, they should have kept Baker. I liked Baker a hell of a lot better than I ever liked Deshaun. I've never liked the Deshaun deal, but I can understand in their desperation for a winning quarterback. They shot a shot and they missed horribly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about what Deshaun Watson was doing at all of his massage parlors.
Oh no, he hits his target there.
Oh, that's just not good.
It's disturbing. And if you read about all what he did, that's like, oh god, it's awful. The guy should be a registered sex offender. He really should be. And the fact that he's not is also kind of insane.
A sad state of what's happening. But
the league, it seems like the league has kicked people out of the league for less. I feel like they should have just told him he can't be in the league and been done with it.
Yeah. Well, enjoy that for the next 2 years, Brownie, and then we'll.
Oh yeah, no, we will. We will only have to play the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals. So
I mean, the Steelers are,
they made the playoffs.
Well, I mean, they made the playoffs, but Russell Wilson, they don't have a quarterback right now. Russell Wilson was a nice rebound. It was a nice rebound for him. Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up on the Raiders with Pete Carroll. I cannot believe Pete Carroll got another job.
74 years old. They gave him a head coaching job.
I mean,
he's energetic and stuff, but no matter how much energy he's got, just like, what are you hoping for long term? I mean, you want the coach that's awesome for 15 years. I mean, loose skin and
old balls.
Gross. Yeah, that was among one of the more confusing. And I
wonder if they would just need to get their culture right. They've tried it with 2 different guys, and maybe they are going, look, let's have a 3 or 4 year plan, maybe 5, and see how long it lasts, and maybe get things right potentially. Like the Bears were talking about that, but the Bears got to strike with their talent. Maybe with what they've got, maybe he's like their Ricky Renneria, except that he's an awesome coach historically, but more of a bridge type of guy, who wanted to coach again. I think
he's a name that's going to pull more free agent talent.
Exactly.
Las Vegas.
I don't know. This kind of gives me John Fox to the Bears vibes a little bit.
Tony La Russa?
A guy that's a little past his prime. His best days are probably behind him, and I think they're just banking on him to do something that I'm not sure he's going to be.
Well, we're just guessing at this point.
Well, yeah, Andrew, I realize that we're just guessing right now, but that is a fair point. Fine, I will give you that. Fine, but
we could only hope that we've got that much energy, I guess. But I guess, we'll see.
Yeah.
Or it could be a legacy crusher.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Between his USC wins, which say what you will about how he won at USC, but doesn't change the fact that those teams were electric. And then the success that he had in Seattle, taking Russell Wilson of all people from, he was, I didn't see him becoming somebody who won a Super Bowl, and that Legion of Boom was awesome. That was really cool. I don't think he's going to be able to replicate any of that in Vegas, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just speculating, as you said, Andrew.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting for sure. But we've got enough good stuff to look forward to here than to worry about him, I hope.
That is true. Nick, you look like you were about to say something.
Nope.
No. Anybody here want to talk about basketball, WNBA, hockey?
Oh, where are my notes? No.
No.
Blackhawks
Hockey
are
is
awful.
played on the ice.
Very
Awful.
The WNBA is something that exists.
The WNBA has been a lot more fun recently, and then Nick, the Blackhawks have been looking okay since they fired their coach. So there is that, I guess.
Didn't the Blackhawks just trade one of their best players to get back a draft pick that they already had, that they had traded earlier, and then just got back like a third-round draft pick for one of their the better players on the team?
Yep.
Brownie, are you kind of excited, or are you watching anything Cleveland Cavaliers related, or do you care?
I've been watching. I mean, as much Cavs as they put on TV, but I'm excited for them. Unfortunately, they've had a bit of a cold streak here, but
they're still one of the top teams in the league. So
absolutely,
They are.
but they're but they made a coaching change, and they got a guy that took the Cavs have two bigs and two really good guards, and they don't really have a starting small forward. But everyone said, "Oh, well, you guys got to blow that up. Those four players can't ever play together." They brought in Kenny Atkinson, and he said, "Well,
I got it.
100% play
I got
together."
it. I got it.
Here's how they do it, and they've come out and they've been unbelievable this year. I mean, they're outscoring almost everybody, and they're playing great defense, which they played last year. So it's been fun to watch. It'd be interesting to see how far they could take this thing.
I mean, they're in much better shape than the Bulls are. The Bulls are a disaster right now, and
Mired in mediocrity.
I mean, but that's just been the MO of the Bulls over the last couple of years. They've been needing to blow it up.
They need
a while.
to trade everybody. Yep.
They do. They need to.
I was saying they're not even rebuilding. They're
they're just stuck. They're just stuck in mediocrity.
They're just an evening's entertainment out.
I mean, if you watch some of their games, they're not even entertaining right now. It's pretty bad. But yeah, I
just mean that they're content being that.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. That is very true. But that is the hallmark of a Jerry Reinsdorf own team. So that's perfectly fine. Any other sports topics before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
Andrew?
I'm good. Yeah.
Nick has Tommy Ricketts replied back yet? Is it too late for him?
No, he probably had his milk and went to bed.
That's too bad. I guess the only other thing that I will ask, Juan Soto, $750 million. Is that too much for him?
765.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shorted him $15 million.
No, why not?
No, I mean the guy's a hell of a hitter, but only that
you are what you worth.
Baseball contracts have gotten completely out of hand. It's absolutely ridiculous that anybody makes that amount of money for playing a game. Something that most of us would do for free, and that people are getting paid such astronomical amounts of money.
Know your worth.
Yeah. And capitalize it when you can, right?
And that's exactly what he did.
He's also kind of a special case unicorn because he's so young. He's only 26. He broke into the league at 19, so that's part of it. And then Ohtani's just a unicorn himself, so
because he plays
29 or 30. That's why he got his deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, you can see a big contract next
Doesn't bother
year.
me.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. will be up next year.
Kyle Tucker.
And he's only Kyle Tucker's close to 30, but Vlad Guerrero's only 25, 26. So he's another one that's
26.
Yeah,
Kyle
he's real young. So
Kyle Tucker's 28. I imagine Kyle Tucker will probably get the deal. It starts with a 4, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope
freeze.
it's the Cubs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your best hope is that the Cubs show him that he's going to go to free agency. But if the Cubs show him that it's a great place to play, if they put up a good enough number, he may want to come back there and stay there. And he's a great piece. He's a dynamite outfielder.
I guess I will end it with this because so on Facebook recently there was something that said that, hey, oh, here it is. Okay, cool. So I saw a status from Major League Baseball about potential 2026 first-time candidates for the Hall of Fame. So we got Ryan Braun, Chris Davis.
This list sucks. I saw.
So Daniel Murphy,
zero.
Cole Hamels.
There's not a strong case for any one of them.
There's not one player on that list.
This may be the year
Jeff
that Alex
Samardzija.
Rodriguez and Barry Bonds get even vaguely close to the 75. I know it goes in next year.
Yes. So one of the people on this list is Jeff Samardzija, and I literally laughed out loud when I saw that name. So I replied to this post. I tagged Nick and I said Jeff Samardzija, and it got one like from somebody. And I thought that this was just kind of fucking with me, but I don't know. It just
is that his account?
It's gotta be just like a page. But I saw the like was like Ryan Sandberg. I was like, no, that's definitely not. But yeah, it's just it seems like it's a fan account, but I just laughed when I saw that. I was like, oh, somebody like there is definitely not enough followers in that group for that to be a thing. But I saw that and I was like, do you not get that? I think it's laughable that Jeff Samardzija could be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's not him.
Oh no, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. No. What's laughable is that there's one asshole writer that decided not to vote for you. Got him a 99% of the vote, and one guy decided not to vote for him, which is.
I want names.
Yeah, no one's going to come forward and admit that he's the one person who.
I want to know his rationale.
One of those uptight people who decides they're not going to vote for anybody one year.
First year.
As long as there's steroid people on the docket, they're not going to vote for anybody.
It's either that or the one person who's like nobody else should be anonymous or not anonymous, unanimous ever again. Because
some writers have been like, I'm not voting for him on the first year.
Oh, that's right.
Generally speaking,
some writers have done that.
It's why they need to rework that whole system because it's a joke. Yeah. The writers shouldn't be the ones voting.
Well, especially
voting anybody into the Hall of Fame.
Especially considering how the writers they're so against like everything in the steroid era, which I get it. I do.
Steroids ruled.
But
I'm not apologizing. Steroids ruled.
They made the game.
Yeah.
The game was.
Those were some of the most exciting seasons of baseball, especially that year that McGuire and Sosa.
I was hooting, hollering at the convention video with Sammy running around this year. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, that was. I'm glad that they finally squashed that. Look, Sammy Sosa is a very controversial player. But
I love that he admitted it without admitting it too.
I mean, isn't that what most of these players need to do now? Yeah. It's just like
he said I made mistakes. He never said steroids.
What they were.
It was quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all can't be as egregious as O.J. Simpson and just say if I did it with that book. So if that's the best that we're gonna get from Sammy Sosa, I'll take it. That's fine. And
I don't care. He didn't need to apologize. It was dumb.
Maybe more to his teammates for the.
I don't know what he had to apologize for. Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
Or maybe.
I mean, we're in different regimes even of ownership and how it just carried over. It's crazy.
It's weird.
It's pettiness that I can get on board with.
Tom Ricketts needed this validation apology from him when he was.
I wonder if
he didn't buy the team till years after Sammy left. It was.
But you wonder if he was playing politician with some of the other people who have stuck around the organization.
I guess.
Yeah, but I'm glad it's over.
Who cares?
Maybe it's one of those things where an owner gets a note from the previous owner, kind of like what the president gets when they're out of office, and maybe that's the one thing that the previous owner wrote on the note. don't let Sammy Sosa back in
Make him apologize
until he quote unquote apologizes.
He made the Tribune Company hand over fist money because he was the only thing people were coming to watch for years.
Yeah. So
yeah, whatever.
Well, interesting stuff. So, well, this was fun. I did enjoy this. Love catching up with you guys. Love talking sports. So appreciate it. I will be having you all on again sometime soon, and there's always lots to talk about. So yeah, thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
You're welcome.
the conversation. Does anyone care if I tag them on social media for this? Mott, your Facebook or whatever account that you have.
No.
Oh no, you're still
Facebook,
on,
Twitter.
If you could tag my MySpace though, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Brownie, it would not surprise me if you still had a MySpace page. So let's
probably do. I haven't been on it in the better part of 10 years. I'm sure it still exists in the ether somewhere.
It's just about not deleting it. I just watched a movie recently where
Say hi to Tom.
Where the main character, like all the main characters, are still on MySpace, and I was like, this is all very triggering because between that and the use of AOL Instant Messenger, it just brought
baby,
me back.
I hear that. I hear that door opening and closing in my sleep.
And not only that, just the tone that happens when you send a message that just very very triggering, but it was a lot of fun. Andrew, you're on X, right? Or Ecstasy. Yeah,
yes.
Right now you're clearly on X this whole time, but
I was gonna say
you're on Twitter.
I've got an account. I read lots of things. I don't post lots of things, but
me too.
You're
exactly what I use it for.
Yeah.
Just read. That's it. So
pretty much.
All right.
You got to keep up with the Cubs somehow.
I mean, it's much easier to keep up with them.
That's exactly why I have it.
That.
Yeah.
It's like sports dues usually.
Yep.
Well, I'll tag you. I'll tag you in that. So,
cool.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Bye.
See you guys later.